This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and a very beautiful welcome to And Beyond Ngala. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am sitting with a beautiful dazzle of zebras with a very young foal in the middle, and the light this morning is just stunning here at And Beyond Ngala. It is absolutely beautiful this time of the morning, nice and cool and overcast. And what a stunning morning to be here with our little dazzle of zebras. Isn't it such a great way to start the day? This is absolutely wonderful to see so many zebras together in this beautiful clearing. And I'm definitely going to be spending some time with them this morning. Welcome aboard your very own live safari in the African wild. So these zebras seem to be quite playful this morning. They've been kind of following each other around. One or two have been chasing each other there, you can see. And especially that younger foal has been running around in between the adults. But what I love about this time of the day in particular is how striking a zebra's colors are in this golden light of the morning. This dazzle is about 40 zebras in total. They spread all out to my left into the bush as well. But these ones are just standing so beautifully in this clearing. So my name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide here at And Beyond Ngala this morning on your safari. Behind the camera we have Owen. And this morning we are very, very excited to be starting the morning with such a healthy, stripy start. So there seems to be quite a bit of activity going on, not just feeding, but every now and then we're seeing them starting to interact with each other. There's quite a close bond that forms between these zebras. And interestingly enough, we have seen quite a few stallions in this dazzle, which is quite unusual. Usually there would be one dominant stallion, but maybe because it is such a large dazzle, all of the zebras are a bit more diverse. But I really enjoy watching the young foals. You can see actually chasing each other again. You can actually see two of them together. So there's one that you can see. There's another one hiding. There we go, just behind. And what I really love about these zebra foals is how fluffy they still are compared to the adults. You can see their coats don't look as smooth. And I think that poor one is getting bothered by flies. I can hear lions in the background. That zebra also heard them. And that's fantastic news, because that's what I'm hoping to find for you here this morning at And Beyond Ngala. Some of the Birmingham pride. So that calling is not close enough for these zebras to be very worried at the moment. And so that's why after looking up, that female's gone straight back to feeding. Actually, that foal that's on the right is quite light in color. The stripes seem to be almost brownish red in that one patch. Shame, it's definitely being bothered by flies. There's actually not much that's as cute as a little zebra foal snuggling up to its mum. I think the flies are definitely out in force this morning, so we were very lucky during the night last night. We had some more rain starting from around 7 o'clock last night. So I think that's why the insects are more active this morning. Oh, there's an oxpecker. On the back of the mum's bum, you can see an oxpecker just above her tail. It's a red-billed oxpecker. Those constant wagging tails to keep the flies off. You can see exactly the same thing happening with the other mum and baby. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend a few more minutes here with these zebras, but I really want to go and see where those lions might be calling from here at Anbianangala. But why don't we have a look at our weather for this morning?
Welcome to Jomla, welcome to a beautiful, beautiful start to our day. We're just parked on the side of the road here in anticipation for this breeding herd of elephants to walk right past us. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, welcome to Jomla. She's not going to walk past, she's going to decide to walk around. She thought about it. She thought long and hard. The big matriarch is heavily pregnant. Elephants, elephants everywhere.
Yeah, we've got tracks of male.
Sorry about the game drive. Sorry about the poll. We've got our rain protection on this morning in anticipation for a rainy event, but we had quite a bit of rain yesterday anyway, so there'll be no off-road driving today anyway until things are cleared up. So my objective again this morning is to go to where I eventually had tracks of the huge buffalo herd. Yesterday afternoon I found tracks of a small splinter group that clearly had run away, and we had them not far from where we are now, but they had all the way south, a small group. And on our meanderings yesterday afternoon we found where the big herd had been, and we found tracks of a big male lion in that area. So
Welcome back to Anbianangala, everybody. Sorry for the technical issues that we are experiencing. It seems to be a bit of a gremlin morning here this morning, but we are hot on the trails of those lions. We've heard them calling, and so we're going to be trying to find where they have been calling from. Owen has just spotted something, an elephant. I wonder if we will be able to get him. Let's have a look. It's quite a big bull. Here we go. Oh, but he's moving between the trees. It's so thick in there. There So this is quite a big male elephant for his age. I would say he's maybe in his early 20s. And he's got quite a large body in particular. His tusks are not that big, but his body is. And he's actually busy eating and dropping. He just dropped that whole chunk out of his mouth. What looks like the guari trees and a bit of grass. So it amazes me that we actually can't hear him right now. Elephants are incredibly quiet when they're walking. Often all you can hear is just the sounds of feeding. What's really nice as well is I can use this opportunity to keep listening for the lions. Because I think that the Ross males are definitely around. So hopefully if they're around, we can find the rest of the pride as well. You can see it's quite overcast this morning actually as well. So I think we might actually get some more rain. So it's going to be an interesting morning. I think it's going to be an interesting week. We've got quite a bit of rain said to be coming this week. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to keep going, see if I can head towards where that lion roaring was coming from, which was on my right-hand side. See maybe if I can find them, especially if they are calling. It's a great time for us to try and find them because it does make it easier for those of us that are out on the reserve this morning to pinpoint where we think they are. So there was quite a lot of noise happening yesterday with the other lions being active on Ambion Ngala, so I'm hoping that means we can find them this morning. Yeah, I've got, it looks like part of a herd actually, quite a few. So I am definitely going to be sitting here with these elephants for a while longer. It looks like a small breeding herd. And I'll be enjoying this. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you over to Lauren, who wants to give you a greeting.
Elephants everywhere this morning. Good morning, everyone. We're actually at the hyena den. So we're not going to stick with these elephants for too long. We just wanted to give you a little bit of context to the scenario. The elephants have not realized that they're at the hyena den and there's hyenas. I don't know who's here just yet. I only briefly saw spots. I'm going to drive forward and see. But my name is Lauren and I do have Davi on camera this morning. So let's see what hyenas we have up ahead. There's elephants everywhere, and I actually mentioned this yesterday. It's a really prominent game path. This area that the den is in is used by so many different animals, all shapes and sizes. They don't make it easy to get to the hyena den these days. I know we have a mom, but who do we have? I don't know. Okay, Davi, how can we work this? Yeah? Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay. I think we have Antima in the back there, and Miss Ribbon. Hello, Ribbon. Your grandchild, it. So we've got Ribbon and Gwazi Chimbulu and Antima all curled up. I feel like Antima's not really in the but of course, hyenas are resilient. They've
So welcome back to Ambion Ngala. So in this breeding herd of elephants, we have found this massive male elephant. Have a look at how much taller he is than the rest of the elephants in this herd. He is in his prime. He's massive. And I would think he's at least 45 years old. He is, as Owen put it, like a building. He's huge. It's absolutely wonderful to see him so relaxed in the middle of the herd. Normally, when there's a big male in the herd like this, there might be a bit of tension. But in fact, he looks very nice and relaxed. He's actually been dust bathing himself in that patch where he's standing, and it sounds like, or seems like, he's just stopped to listen. But there's quite a lot going on in this herd at the moment. You can see there's a little baby that's actually starting to go down into the sand right next to him. Very tiny calf. And to the left, we actually also have quite a few playing. I think that female's getting a bit upset with him because she's got a very small calf and he's trying to push her around. So she's starting to get a bit unhappy with him. He is, unfortunately, when he's in this herd, he might cause quite a few fights, if I can put it that way, because the females want to protect their tiny calves from such a big male. He could very easily injure somebody. But you can see she's actually moving herself off to the right with the calf and letting him come past. I just can't believe that size difference between him and the females. So we've got some teenagers here that are practicing dust bathing. Minamu, he really does look very majestic. He seems like he's on a mission going out at the back here. We'll see if we can catch up with him just now, but he really is a majestic animal. It's always wonderful to spend time with elephants, though. Look at these two practicing their fighting. And a trunk coming in from the background of another one sniffing. There seems to be quite a bit of activity in this herd this morning. That's another young male, but he's a lot smaller than the previous male. So I'm starting to think that maybe with this young male and the others that are around, maybe there's a female that's going into estrus, and that's why the males are here. He's actually busy chasing one. It's just popped up. I can hear a hyena. So I think I'm actually going to move you a little bit forward, see if we can get a view down this road. But I can hear quite a few calls this morning. I've heard lions calling. I've just heard a hyena calling. And I'm starting to wonder if they're not related to each other somehow. Maybe the sightings are in the same place. So I'm going to stay here with these elephants just to see what plays out with these dynamics between the different males. And I'll send you over to Kyle in Tswalu.
Well, in the mix of things, in the central part of the screen, you'll find a very distinctive looking bird. You can see almost like a white crest on top of the head, quite a long, slightly decurved beak, and then you can see that beautiful light cream neck and chest. Very long tail. If you look on the other side of that branch, you can see the tail just peeking out on the other end, and then a spotted dorsal section. This is a great spotted cuckoo, the bird that eluded us the other day when we were looking for the cheetah. And how fantastic we have a view of it just sitting still. Fantastic. We actually saw two individuals. This is one of two. The other one's just a little bit further to the right, but it is in the mix of things.
But what a fantastic sight. Let's do the formalities. My name is Kyle. Good morning. And it is so great to be with you guys this morning. Behind camera is Morgan. Give us a thumbs up there, Morgan. Yes. Thank you very much for joining us. And what a fantastic day we are having. Slightly overcast, very, very cool. And it is perfect to be out in the bush with conditions like this. We missed you guys yesterday afternoon, but it is great to be back with you. Oh, he's still there. How fantastic. You must be very cold. So a very wide range of host species this bird has. If you look at the cuckoo family, they have this behavior of laying eggs within the nest of other birds. And this one has got, I think it's up to 11 confirmed host species. So some of them can be very host specific. Some of them can rely just on one host species. I think, black cuckoo would only rely on the fork-tailed drongo for its nest or breeding purposes. But this bird has a bit more of a wider range at selecting nests. And they are very sneaky birds. And obviously their general appearance, birds do recognize them as a bit of an intruder. So if this bird is spotted, you'll find that multiple bird species will join up together and physically mob this bird to drive it out the area, because you don't want to be rearing somebody else's babies. And a lovely sight we have, because in the next couple of months this bird will move back to its natal grounds. So they will leave around about May. They would start departing South Africa. You can see the position of the bird. It is chilly. It's fairly chilly. It's about 18 degrees this morning, and you can see from the gloomy appearance that it is cold. I've got a jersey on. Morgan's very strong. He's got no jersey on. And we do have a nice strong breeze coming in from the east. It looks like Jess, it is quite a large bird. That's a very good observation there. So if you look at the general weight of this bird, it'll be about 130 grams. And then size-wise, you're looking at between 35 and about 39. So let's say 35 to 40 centimeters. So it is a fairly large bird, and that is a great observation. It's got quite a large, roundish body. And it is a little bit bigger now as it appears, because its feathers would be slightly ruffled up to lock in body heat. When birds are cold, they do sit in that position where they ruffle up their feathers and they give themselves kind of a squatting and hunched appearance just to retain body heat. And obviously, feathers are a great insulator as well, as they are a form of protection and obviously the remarkable ability of achieving flight. But how lovely is that? I can't believe that this bird is sitting still. And that is such a treat.
Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Jomla Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of February 2021 and you could be heading to Jomla, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply. When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
We're still sitting at the den here, and I'm not sure where I got to the last time. We had a bit of a technical difficulty there, but it's very serene. Everyone's sleeping. We've got one of Hart's cubs here. I don't actually know if it's the male or the female. And then we have Ribbon with Ngwazi and Shimbulu, and it's so good to see her. Looking full. I want to see her get mobile though. I want to see how she's walking. And then we've got Antima on the right, who's bundled up, and well, I'm not entirely sure how comfortable that position is, but yet here we have it. I don't think Antima's leaving the den very much. I think she's spending a lot of time here. Of course, she's a first-time mother. She's a matriarch's daughter. She's in a great position. She's high-ranked. And I think she's very attentive to her little ones. Now, Ngwazi and Shimbulu are almost a year. It does look rather bizarre to see them suckle like this because they're so large. But as many of you know, hyenas have one of the longest lactation periods. It goes up to 18 months, sometimes 2 years. But on average, 18 months, which is a very, very long time. So that's a high level of maternal investment. Now, the milk of a hyena is incredibly rich. It's one of the richest in the animal kingdom. It's said to be richer than the likes of lions and leopards. And it has lots of protein, extremely high in calcium because of all the bones they eat, many different types of fatty acids and minerals. So the cubs really thrive off this milk, which is why the lactation period is so long. Now, I do anticipate, because our drive starts a little bit later, that the afternoons, the evenings, the early evening is going to be the best time to see the den active. Although we've clearly got activity right now, everyone's very sleepy. And we're missing 4 cubs. We got a brief... Sorry about that. I believe that was Steve. We got a brief glimpse of Antima's cub yesterday for anybody that may have missed that news. So she's definitely a mother, and I think there is only 1 cub. Can't be sure though. Sometimes it can surprise you, but there's definitely 7 cubs now at least. 4 different mothers. Ribbon.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, everybody. So I am on the search for those lions that we're calling. And what I'm doing is I'm using some of the other animals to see whether they have had any reactions, because if there are lions close by, things like the impalas are going to be alarm calling. Things like the wildebeest are going to be alarm calling or running. And so I've come to the area where I think the calling might have been coming from, and I'm just using the other animals to see what the reaction is. And at the moment, everybody seems quite calm. So I've got some wildebeest on my right, I've got kudu on my front left, I've got impalas with me here, and I'm just using the sounds around me and their behaviors to try and tell if these lions are close by. So there's quite a big implausibility of wildebeest here. You can only see 4 or 5 at the moment, but the rest of them have actually moved into the thickets. And what's actually really unusual about this is we also have some kudu here, so I'll see if I can get you a little bit further forward. And then we can have a look for those kudu, but you can actually even see some of the rest of the wildebeest are starting to come out. But everyone looks really relaxed, which means probably the lions are not here. So I might have misjudged where I think the calling was coming from, or they might have moved actually. So we'll have to see as we go further. Maybe we'll get some signs of them there. Try and get you a view of this kudu, but I don't know. She is quite well hidden behind the bushes. You can see how overcast it is at the moment. And she's moving behind the shrubbery. So she's gone in behind that African wattle, and she's probably going to come out the other side. Let me see if I can move you a little bit forward, see if you can get her. Actually, no, now she is moving forward. She's playing with me this morning. We've got a lot of life around us here. There we go. I see her now. She is poking her head out at us. So she actually looks a lot more alert than the wildebeest and the impalas. But that could be due to the fact that she has larger ears, so she might have slightly better hearing. And usually they'd be traveling in groups, so it's quite unusual to see her on her own in amongst impalas and wildebeest. But it is quite a stunning morning. I've got a lot of hope that this morning I will actually be able to find these lions, because they've been calling from somewhere close to this area. But at the moment you can see everybody's pretty relaxed. We've got a whole lot of birds flying over, no alarm calling at all. And what I'd be listening for would be things like oxpeckers alarming, francolins alarming, impalas alarming. But at the moment, everybody is just super relaxed, and you can see it's a beautiful big clearing. And that's actually why I came here, because this is an area where the lions would be in the mornings, looking for some food or even just looking for somewhere to relax. And it's quite a beautiful scene. So that very dark cloud that you can actually see on the horizon is actually covering the Drakensberg Mountains, which we usually see on that side, the western side. So that's normally how I know that weather's coming, is you can't see the mountains, you can only see cloud. And that's a pretty good indication that we're going to get a storm later on in the day. And pretty much everywhere we look right now is overcast. But that's actually a really good thing if I'm looking for lions, because it means that there's a higher chance they're going to be active. It is a stunning mix of animals this morning. It's like a Beyond Ngala version of the Serengeti here. Maybe just with a bit more trees and bushes. And actually this is probably, after the golden hour of the morning, this is probably my favorite time of the morning, especially when it's overcast, because there are usually so many different animals out like now. And everybody's nice and relaxed, feeding, starting their day. And there is actually some golden light coming through at the moment. There must be a thinning of the clouds. It's incredibly beautiful. I think this is probably the greenest I have ever seen and beyond Ngala. We have had so much rain in the last month in particular. And it's just looking absolutely stunning this morning. That is actually one thing that I do enjoy when it's overcast. I find that photography is better when it's overcast like this with a little bit of golden light coming through. Just makes real stunning photos. That wildebeest actually looks quite light in colour compared to the others. It is younger, so I can see on the top of the head that it's got a chocolate brown colouring, which means that it's still kind of a teenager. But the whole body actually still seems quite light. Can you hear that noise that is happening in the background? Sounds like a violent sneezing. Impalas are chasing each other. Yes, these animals will definitely be alert while grazing, Hasana, and that's because they need to be sure that they are not going to be attacked while they are feeding. Like now, they didn't lift their heads with all of that commotion. They didn't really do much. But what it means is that they know that those impalas with that particular call are just chasing each other. They're not alarm calling for a predator. But they would definitely be alert. Any signs of breaking twigs, anything unusual, any new scents, they would be incredibly alert to that. You can hear a lot of crested francolins calling in the background. Everybody's waking up, starting to move around for the morning. Have a listen to all the different birds. There's a lot of bird life on this morning. There's crested francolins, Burchell starlings, red-crested corehorn I can hear in the background. I even heard a Swainson's spurfowl just now. There's a lot of birds calling this morning. And that's got to do with the weather as well. Everybody's nice and active now that it's nice and cool, looking for insects. This particular wildebeest actually also has quite a long mane, the longer patch of hair hanging off the front of its neck there. What a peaceful morning. So I think I'm going to keep going. I'm going to see if I can pinpoint where those lions were calling from. Hopefully it's the Birmingham Pride or the Ross males, but we will see. In the meantime, I'm going to send you over to Tswalu while I continue my lion search.
Well, what a beautiful picture. The colors right now are just magnificent. And these colors are almost soft, like Morgan says. It looks like somebody's photoshopped the light right now. That's because of this uniform cloud cover, the stratus cloud cover. We spoke about clouds the day before yesterday. This uniform blanket that is covering the sky. It's the way that the sun is illuminating the top parts, and the light is filtrating through down towards us, giving us a very beautiful scene. And something that Morgan wanted to show you folks. I mean, look at that. Unbelievable. So we are slowly going towards this pan. We're going to go see if there are any funny and rare birds there by the pan, and we're going to look for some tracks, but then also we're going to look at a very unique fruiting body. When you see it, you'll be absolutely mind-boggled when you see the structure and shape of this fruiting body. I'm going to leave it just there. I don't want to give too much away. And in the mix of things, we are looking for birds. We've been hearing these great spotted cuckoos busy calling. It looks like they are looking for a nest somewhere along the lines. But a very beautiful scene we have here. Well, let's keep it beautiful. What we're going to do is take the vehicle a little bit further south and let's see what we can find. It's lovely when you have these overcast days, like I said, you know, the cool period definitely lingers on, and I love it. I love the sun, but there's just something about these cool mornings, especially the creative aspect of the clouds. So definitely a stratus formation. You can see in front over here that this is a complete uniform layer of cloud, stratus or blanket as it is known as. Oh, no, sorry. And the light just makes everything pop. All right, but let's send you over to Steve and see what he has.
Well, thank you, Kyle. I know Kyle set out this morning looking for some lesser moor hens. So while we're checking around for the buffalo herd, I thought let's just pop into Rubbing Post Dam. And in the middle of frame, you can see one. There it is. Oh, hello. Hello, baby. But it's not the thing. Well, I'm there.
Well, sorry about that. My apologies for those little issues, but that's all good because you are with us. As a family, we carry the load. Look at that branch. What a nice hiding place for a little animal or a little bird. So the Camelthorn in its growth form does make some very unique shapes, let's say that. And you'll see that inside this tree that there is a beautiful hole. And something just caught my eye there, but I think it was the little piece of branch. You can see that dark patch in the middle. That is perfect for a little animal to reside or seek shelter in. A beautiful, fragmented, twisting bark of the beautiful Camelthorn. Very important structure, that bark out there, to protect this lovely, long-lived tree. So we could find a bird in there, we could find reptiles in there, definitely a spider or two. But it's a brilliant little spot, and as I said, something just caught my eye. You always got to make sure, you always got to be sure. You never just want to assume when you're in the bush, because when you assume, that's when you're going to miss something incredible. So we're going to be entering the area of this pan shortly, and we are going to see what is there for us. The white-browed sparrow weavers are calling, the Kalahari scrub robins are calling, the ring-necked doves are calling, as they are always doing. hoping that we can find a nice mammal to stick with for the morning. It's a little bit chilly for... Oh, la, 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 la. It's a little bit chilly for insects. We're going to have to wait for the temperature to increase, but look at that. Oh, wow. Such striking colors. Yo, whoa. You want to come say hello, buddy? I thought he was going to fly and land on my head. He's saying good morning to everybody. There's his partner that called in the distance. In the distance. It's such a striking color format that this bird has. It's always such a treat to see this bird. And actively hunting or looking for prey while it's moving through the canopy of trees like that. Very distinctive hopping behavior. Oh, and on the ground. And back in the tree. It's giving Morgan a bit of a run around. Lovely bird to see, and especially in a great format like that. Normally you only see fleeting glimpses of these birds, and for them to be accommodating like that is not a very common thing. You'd find that most photographers and guides that want to get a cracker photo, that bird hardly ever sits still. And you got to be very quick on the mark to snap away. Alrighty, here we are. We are coming into this pan. We're going to use the crossroads, always making sure of tracks. It does have such a beautiful call, and some of the calls that bird can produce are very deceiving. Some of them actually sound mechanical. It sounds like a spring going on. Oh, Carl, don't do funny noises on Safari Live. So we always utilize crossroads like that, just to make sure of tracks that have come through. So a lot of animals will utilize the road because it's the path of least resistance. So when you're crossing roads like that, just making sure that there's no cheetah tracks or hyena tracks that we could follow up on. Oh, talking about cheetah tracks, there's cheetah tracks. Ah la la, it is cheetah tracks. Oh, let's take a little squeeze. Oh, they look good, guys. They're looking good. Oh, that looks very good. Okay. It's quite a large set. Looks like a male. Obviously, the size of the track is giving me an indication that it's a male. And he's walking on the left-hand side of the track now. Going towards the pan there, the track cuts off into the block. And this is where those two male cheetah love coming to. So no tracks go off that side, so it still gives me indication that the general direction would be that away. I think it's Steph. How many hyena species are there on Tswalu? So if you look at that family group, we are very lucky because we have the spotted hyena, we have the brown hyena, which is fairly elusive and shy in comparison to his cousin, and then we have that very unique carnivore called an aardwolf, an earth wolf. Aard is earth in Afrikaans, translated, and then wolf is wolf. Its general appearance looking like a wolf, but it is part of the hyena family, and it is by far one of the most specialized carnivores on this planet. It's a carnivore, but it lives almost an exclusive diet of termites. So termites are vital for that animal. So we are very, very lucky with the diversity of those animals here. And then these beautiful animals. Oh, good morning, everybody. I don't know if anybody also has that when I see animals, I always tend to, in the back of my mind, have like a voice to what they would sound like. Don't know why I do that. Let's see if we can get a better view of him. So this is a bull, and this would be part of his core territory. He's more than likely just come to the water for a little drink, and he'll be going back to a spot where he'll start ruminating on and keeping a watchful eye out for ladies. Oh, he's going to go to the toilet. Very strong, healthy-looking bull as well. Very complex animals, and unfortunately, because of their abundance, people do tend to overlook them quite quickly. But if you look at wildebeest, they exhibit some of the most complex social arrangements there are. Look. So I turn there for you all. Let's just, sorry folks, let me just get the vehicle a little bit to the corner here. Let's see what it is, because he might show us some nice behavior. Yeah, he's going to go to the tree. Come on, you want to. They display behavior when they mark is by dropping dung. Obviously, its scent would be unique to him. But then he's got glands on either side of his face, so that left hand and the right hand side, just below the eye. And this circular patch is what we refer to as the preorbital gland. No, he is going to move off. And that gland is used to apply scent on a tree or a branch. And obviously that is a very efficient form of demarcating the area, saying that this is mine. So really incredible. Let's take a look at the pannier. Let's see what we have at the pannier. And then we are at the spot where these young starlings are. So we'll do an update on them as well. But for now, let's send you off somewhere else.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene, rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply. In a world full of upheaval, we all need a quiet and safe space to breathe. A place where anxiety and stress don't exist. A place where life carries on as normal. Escape to nature with Wild Earth.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
At this pan that we quite a lot, and animals love to come in over here. And we placed a marker here a couple of days ago. I think it was the 28th we placed a marker here. And we wanted to place a marker to show you how much water would have been lost within the few days. So the marker is here on my left-hand foot, and the water's edge is all the way over there. Look how much water has already been lost. Just within these few days, look how much has been lost. So a lot of it would have moved through the soil and obviously been lost into the soil itself. But then think about evaporation. Obviously the heat heating up the water, and then particles raising up into the atmosphere and creating stuff like that. That's all that is water up in the atmosphere that you can visibly see. But a large amount of water has been lost. That is mind-boggling for me to actually see it, because you never have the luxury of seeing the progression or seeing how much has actually been moving or has been lost, So those cheetah tracks come through from the back of the vehicle, so just behind Morgan, and they come here. I can just see a little bit of markings, but here to the softer, muddier edge, this cheetah is basically stopped here, and the position of the feet showing me that it actually leant down and then was drinking. Front pads very close to each other, and then the back pads very close to the front pads, leaning down and drinking. And then it walked off. So this looks like to be a single male. And like I said, this is a very favorite spot for those two dominant boys. But what we're going to do is maybe we're going to do a little birding over here, see what's in and amongst the growth, or the vegetative growth, and then we'll shoot it down this road to see if we can find that animal. But a lovely scene we have in front of us. These Egyptian geese are getting big. Black cuckoo busy calling in the distance. It's always very important to stop and just take a few minutes to absorb all that is around you. Amanda, what can you tell from an animal by looking at its tracks? You can tell quite a lot. So if you look at the size of pugs or pug marks, so let's use lions for example, you can identify the difference between that of male and female just by the sheer size of the physical track. But if you have been tracking for a while and you have a knack and a passion for it, trackers can actually recognize different individuals by the way in which they move. So if you look at the tracks, animals put down tracks in a unique way depending on the individual, and trackers can have the skills necessary to understand the difference between two male lion tracks, and knowing that this track A is Mufasa and track B is Paul, for example. I mean, that is a remarkable ability. So recognizing the individuals themselves, but then also recognizing male and female, there will be different traits on how they walk. And that would have been something we would have used back in the day. So the San people would have tracked, a single kudu, a specific kudu for a couple of days before actually successfully hunting it. And then think about that. You are following a set of cloven hoof tracks through the sandy environments of the Kalahari. And these people were able to stick onto one specific animal until successfully finding it and then hunting it. So tracking is a remarkable ability, and you really need to put a lot of time and attention into it. Otherwise, you're not going to get better at it. But you can tell a lot from an animal's track set. You can see if it was moving in a hurry, so if it was chasing or being chased. You could see from the way that the feet were placed together or placed on the ground, if it was moving slowly, if it was feeding, if it was anxious, if it was looking. There's so many fine little details that one can see within the signs left behind. But like I said, it's having that knowledge. I went off on a little bit of a train. I hope everybody understood that. But yeah, you can understand a lot from looking at the tracks or the signs left behind by animals. And in South Africa, we have some very skilled trackers. Whereas when you're not looking at the track, you physically become the animal. So that's when you are tracking on a very, very high understanding. And like I said, understanding the tracks themselves, who left the track behind, but then also having the knowledge of the animal's behavior is so important. And then also the knowledge of the area in which you're operating. So you'd find trackers that have specialized their skill sets here in Tswalu, have specialized it into knowing the environment, knowing the weather conditions, knowing the animal's behavior in order to lead up and find the animal. And that will be very different in comparison to the greater Kruger or Pinda, for example. Very calm scene. See the little Egyptian geese. We're going to move from the Egyptian geese and go to this little grebe over here, this tiny little bird. You're going to see it's on the surface right now, but they have the remarkable ability of going under the water, actually diving for nourishment, for food. Oh, what is that? Oh, it's nothing. And if you look at this, here the partner's busy calling. It was that high-pitched twittering sound. You find that this bird's feet are adapted to be within these watery environments. Obviously, to propel the bird, you need a foot structure that is tailored to these watery environments. And some birds can be so specialized that they can actually stalk fish underwater. If you look at a bird called African darter, it is a very specialized water bird. Web feet, long, thin, almost like dart-like beak, hence the name African darter. And it actually physically stalks fish underwater. Remarkable. It's a fantastic little bird to see. Beautiful colors. Sexes are alike, and then we saw this individual making a nest a couple of days ago, but unfortunately with all the water that we've received, that nest seems to be gone. Jane, are there crocodiles in these waters? Unfortunately, no. There's no crocodiles in this part of the world. So crocodiles have a few requirements in order to inhabit certain areas. Temperature is a very big thing. If you look at the nest chamber, the sex of the young is determined by the temperature within the nest chamber. Excuse me. They also need low-lying banks in order to inhabit these bodies of water, to obviously move in and out. So there's no, and this dries up almost entirely through the dry periods of the year. So unfortunately, no beautiful crocodile. It's an amazing animal and something that has been so efficiently designed that has remained unchanged for a very, very long time. We were lucky enough to see when our colleagues in East Africa were operating, we had some great sightings with them there with the crocodiles and the wildebeest. Amazing and a very specialized animal. Okay, well, I think what we're going to do is start up this vehicle, and I think we are going to go down this road, and we're going to see if we can find these tracks. But let's send you over to Tess in Ngala.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, everybody. So I'm actually looking for the lions at the moment. I heard zebras distress calling. It's a very distinct sound. And so what I'm doing is I'm driving towards where the sound was coming from. And I'm looking to see if we can find these zebras and hopefully the lions as well. So I'm keeping it nice and slow. The grass is quite long and there are a lot of rocks in this area. But I also want to make sure I don't miss the lions. I can see some zebras here in front of me. And they're actually moving away from the area where they were distress calling. So just in front of me, I can see one starting to come out. And they are moving fairly fast. They're not running, but they are moving fairly fast in the opposite direction to where they were distress calling. So I just want to wait here for a minute and just see if there's any more distress calling happening. And maybe go to where they've just come from. But you can see exactly how long the grass is here. Some of these zebras, you can only see the tops of their backs. So I'm really, really hoping this sounds like the area where I heard the lions calling from last night. It sounds like the area where I heard them calling from earlier. So I'm really, really hoping they might be along here. It's always so exciting when you're moving around in the morning, listening to lions and listening to other animals and trying to find them. Also, animals will have different calls for different purposes. The distress call or alarm call is usually a lot more loud, and it almost seems like, if I can put it this way, like if you would have a bang happening in your ear, it catches your attention. And that's exactly what it's made for. It's made to capture your attention so that if you hear it, you immediately look up. So it's normally a lot higher in pitch, it's a lot louder, and it's short, sharp calls. Whereas a normal call for a zebra might just be a bit of whining and squeaking with each other. And so it's kind of something that you pick up over time. It's not something that you would just know immediately. But with an alarm call, it does usually make you look up and kind of prick your ears up, and that's exactly what it's designed to do. But I think what I want to do, I actually want to drive to where those zebras came from, because they look quite relaxed going down. So I'm wondering if something was behind them on the right-hand side. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of just following a game path, which is this path that's cleared in front of me. And I'm heading straight towards the eastern boundary of And Beyond Ngala. And we know that this is the section where the white lions were about 2 days ago. In fact, yesterday and the day before, they were seen just to the east of Orpen Camp in the Kruger National Park. And that's just here on the boundary. So I'm hoping that they're starting to come back over, especially with all the commotion that was happening last night. There was a lot of lion calling happening last night. So I'm really just trying to keep an eye out for any flicking tails, flicking ears, movement in the grass, and especially anything white. It's always a good indicator. But you just never know what you're going to find. Very exciting. It might not even be lions at all, actually. It could even be alarming for hyenas or a leopard or a cheetah. So I am definitely going to be spending some time here. Wish me luck. I hope I find the lions. Hopefully I get to show them to you just now.
It's no secret that nature can heal. Some of our Wild Earth viewers are finding solace in the outdoors close to their homes during lockdown.
This is how I keep myself busy during lockdown. Beautiful little jumping spot.
I love walking in the open spaces near my home. Provides a moment of peace in a crazy world.
This is my fire escape with some of the birds I get to see. That's what it's like in New York City during lockdown.
Being in nature helps me to cope with the challenges of life and helps me to be humble and grateful.
It's magical watching everything turn into a winter wonderland as the snow softly falls.
Been doing lots of walking, dog walking, outside at parks.
This is my Ridgeback Drake. Our little slice of paradise is a provincial park called Hopewell Ross.
Connecting with nature is critical to stay positive during these tough times. Wild Earth encourages you all to find time to escape to nature.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite animal in the Kalahari has to be the aardvark. Its unique appearance, its ethology, and as well as ecology within this vast ecosystem is amazing, and something that I have been really lucky to experience on foot here at Tswalu.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Jomla Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of February 2021 and you could be heading to Jomla, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
So we have left that lovely body of water and we are on this road here, and this male cheetah tracks. There's been a few vehicles up and down here, but his tracks are on this road. And that brilliant question that was asked earlier is like, what can you tell from these tracks? So like I've mentioned there, you can tell if the animal was hunting, you can tell if the animal was feeding, you can tell if the animal was, potentially trying to mate. If it even had an injury from how the feet were placed on the ground. And this comes with obviously putting the time and energy into this beautiful and ancient art, because it is something that is dying and something that Tswalu that feels very strongly about it, that we have joined partnership with the Tracking Academy, and we actually have a facility over here that hosts people that want to learn this beautiful art. So they come here for 6 months on Tswalu's account, and we try and expose them to this wonderful art. And it is something so beautiful to be able to understand what has been left behind. And like I said, when you get into it, you stop looking up. When you get into tracking and it starts biting you, your head is just down continuously looking at the ground. And obviously we're very lucky here having this sandy substratum. Looking so great. Okay, so no tracks here, but he could have walked left or right, where the vehicles would have detrimentally affected the track itself. But every now and then he crosses to the middle, obviously where vehicles' tires don't touch, and you see partial parts of his track crisscrossing. Oh, sorry. Oh. Excuse me, buddy. And it's very important now that we watch the road, because there's so many corn crickets that you don't want to hurt them. So you want to dodge them at all costs. And sometimes I think they play a game like, try and dodge this. I actually get to a point where I stop the vehicle and I get off the vehicle to get them off the road, and then I continue. And I see on this junction, we're coming up to a junction over here, and then we'll get a better understanding of where these tracks have gone to. But, we just have to look at that quickly. We are receiving a slight little drizzle. It's nothing to send us home, but I just want to show you folks how beautiful this looks. Maybe you can just give us a view there quickly, please. Look at that. Well, seeing the southern Kalahari like this is such a treat. It's almost like a low-laying cloud that has descended upon us, but giving Tswalu a very misty, cozy feeling. Unbelievable, look at that. You can see how things continuously change. You folks being with us for a little while, you can see from day to day how things are so different out here. And for me as a guide, and this being my everything, being constantly stimulated like this is such a blessing. Beautiful call from the fawn-coloured lark there. Lovely. Well, while we head down to this junction to see where these tracks are, let's send you over to Tess on a bumble.
Welcome back to and Beyond Ngala. So I am checking along the eastern boundary at the moment. I found a few more zebras coming from this area. And so I'm really just hoping that the Birmingham Pride is around here. I hope you've got your fingers crossed for me. So I'm kind of just checking slowly. I'm looking down for tracks on the road, but I'm also looking around, listening for birds. Anything that might indicate that the lions might be here. And I really don't think they're far away. Just based on all of the different signs, hearing them calling, having those zebras starting to call as well, I do think that they are somewhere close by. How exciting would it be if we turned the corner and there were lions in the road coming towards her? So I haven't seen any tracks at the moment on this particular stretch of road, but I have a feeling they're somewhere on my left-hand side. So I'm actually going to keep going down that way and see if we can find it. But it has turned into quite a beautiful morning at the moment. The sun is starting to come out. We even had a rainbow just now. All good signs that the lions might be around. Just good omens. So this is where I initially was. I was actually in on my left-hand side with those zebras. But I think I'm going to keep going. Hopefully I found those lions. And I will send you over to Pinda.
Good morning, everybody, and finally welcome to and Beyond Pinda. We had a bit of vehicle trouble this morning. That's why we are only joining you so late on in the show. But here we are. And yeah, we've got a beautiful big group of zebra. I think it's the same group that we found last night. They're in or yesterday afternoon, very, very close to where we found them yesterday afternoon. It's that same large group of many herds that we were talking about yesterday, but how they are usually only about 10 animals or 10 zebras in one herd. And that's why I think that this group is a number of herds together. You'll even see that in this group there are a few kind of smaller groups that huddle and stick together, and I think those will be the herds, all just kind of keeping to themselves, but also happy to have the protection of many eyes. I am Kim, and behind camera today we've got Simon. And yeah, like I said, we've had a bit of a difficult morning in terms of vehicle troubles. But we have a new battery, so we should be okay. Hopefully that's the end of that. But a very, very peaceful scene. Nice and cool here on Pinda, which is a very welcome change to what we're used to, the humid heat. I think the animals find it very nice as well. I am definitely in a 100% better mood when it's nice and cool like this. Just because it's more comfortable, but I also know that the chances of finding animals is a lot higher. When it's hot, animals are just a lot less active and they hide under bushes or try and take refuge in any shade that they can. Especially the predators. They won't be very easy to find in hot weather. And lions, if you do find them in hot weather, they will just be out for the count, just sleeping and trying to be as inactive as possible, expend as little energy as possible. So all is good when it's weather like this. Nice and overcast, a little bit of a breeze. And it's also just lovely because we've had quite a lot of rain over the last couple of weeks here at Pinda, which we were desperate for. We really needed it. But often what happens is that we have like one day of hard, heavy rain, and then the next day it's boiling hot, and all the watering holes that have just been replenished or have got now like a little puddle in the bottom of them, they just dry up so quickly. So it's actually great that we've had a lot of rain, and now this cloud cover is allowing those watering holes to keep what water they've filled up with, which is very, very nice. And again, the animals will be very happy. That's one thing that makes it quite difficult to find animals, though, is the now abundance of water. Whereas before, there was only like one watering hole that had any water in it, so it was a bit of a fail-safe. You knew if you were struggling for animals everywhere, if you went there was going to be something there. And now there's puddles in the roads. Every single tiny little pan system is filled up with water. So the animals have spread out. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to find them. The vegetation is also thickening up. So that's also making it a little bit difficult. But here we go. We've got a beautiful scene of lots of zebras, which is awesome. Nate, yeah, this landscape does look like it goes on forever. And I think I was saying it yesterday, and Simon's he's only been here for a couple of days and said this is definitely his favourite part of the reserve. It's stunning. You can see for miles, which makes it quite easy to look for animals. I was just talking about how when the vegetation gets thick, it can be quite hard to find animals. But as you can see, this is mainly grassland. So coming up to these hills and scanning out over the hills and out of the grasslands, it's quite easy it makes it easier to find animals, as opposed to some of the other areas in Pinda that are much, much thicker than this, and it's mainly kind of dense bushes and trees. So you can only kind of see a couple of, maybe like 5-10 meters into the bush on either side of the road. Oh, I think I just heard an impala alarm calling. The other thing that we were just talking about is the Biala Pride and how they have not been seen for a very long time, and this is the area that this is part of their territory, and because they haven't been seen for so long, they could be anywhere, and because of the rain, their tracks have been washed away. I'm just going to carry on listening, see if we can hear those alarm calls again. And that was the other thing that was almost, I suppose, not cruel, just the way nature is, but when there was less water around, There was one watering hole close to this area. Actually sounds like, well, where those alarm calls are coming from. And the Baala Pride used to just sit there, slightly hidden, and they just knew that all the animals had to come to that watering hole because it was the only water for miles around. So they would just sit there and wait, and then they had water, and the animals would have to come. So they stayed in that area for weeks, and they would just have food coming to their doorstep, and then they would have water on their doorstep. So it was a little bit bleak for the animals, but the lions had a wonderful time, just eating and drinking whenever they needed to. You can see that lots of the zebras are now looking down into the valley which is where the alarm calls are coming from. Jerome, no, wildebeest and zebra very much live in harmony. They don't, they don't compete for anything. I mean, they do feed on grass, both of them, but as you can see, there's a lot of that around, and they're very happy to stick together. Like I was mentioning earlier about the number of different herds of zebra that are in this one group in front of us, it's the same for, and that they're happy to be in a big group, or like mush their herds together, because many eyes are more safe, and it'll be the exact same with the wildebeest. So they're happy to just be an extra herd in the group and to just share in that safety of having many eyes to look out for danger. So no, they don't fight. If anything, in these groups, any tension would be amongst or between the zebra herds, so maybe between the stallions of the different herds, maybe just to make sure that they know, where each other stand. Maybe if there was a bachelor herd of zebra in this group, then that would also cause a bit of tension. But there wouldn't be any tension between the wildebeest and the zebra. It would only maybe be between the zebra, even the female zebras between one another, and then the males between one another. Rian, so it's a good question. I think we chatted about it a little bit last night with the same group. So the social structure of a zebra is herds. Oh, there's a bit of fighting going on there, just as we're talking about the tension. Over quite quickly. See, so sometimes it will just be that, like a little warning, maybe a kick and a bite, a little nip, just to say, show everyone where they stand. Sorry, Rian, but I'll get back to your question. So it'll be a herd, which is made up of one stallion who is dominant over a harem of females. So a harem is just a little group of females, and then the foals. So, and also up to about 10 animals, sometimes less. And that's pretty much the social structure. The young males and young females will sometimes move off. They'll leave their herd if the herd is getting too big, or they might get kicked out. The young males will definitely get kicked out at some point. The females might just leave. And sometimes they will actually group up, the younger males and females, into a little group themselves. And then they might start to establish their own herd where there might be a bit of tension between the males of that little young group, where they try and establish the dominant male, who will then be the dominant stallion of that herd when it becomes established, and when all the members of that little herd come to breeding age. Craig, that's also a good question. So, yes, they are only for when predators are around. They are to, firstly, tell the predator, we can see you, you've lost the element of surprise, which generally means like that they're not going to be successful. If a predator's position has been given away, they've lost that element of surprise, it means that their hunt is going to be probably unsuccessful. Their chances have diminished quite a bit, because they get their success from, or most predators have to get very, very close to their prey before they actually pounce or go for it. So if the prey's alarm called at them, it means that they now can see them and they're ready to run away. And more often than not, the prey is actually faster than the predator. And if they can see them, then they're going to be able to get away from them. So, the alarm call tells the predator, I can see you, so don't even try because I'm going to be able to get away from you. It's going to be a waste of your energy. And then it's obviously also just to alert the rest of the prey animals. So if one of these zebras were to alarm call, it would all alert the rest of the group, and they'd all look at the animal that's alarm called and then look in the direction that animal's looking at to work out what he's alarm calling at. But at the same time, certain animals' alarm calls are more reliable than others. So impala can sometimes be very unreliable. They'll alarm call at, I've seen them alarm calling at a warthog before, a whole herd just alarm calling at a warthog. Whereas if it's a kudu, generally you can be pretty certain that they have seen something that is of interest. Okay, I think we're going to move on from these zebra. Maybe go and check out those alarm calls. But for now, we'll send you over to Steve.
Yes, well, very well discussed, Kim, but to be fair, when you're an animal like an impala that gets eaten by practically everything, being a little bit jumpy and crying wolf every now and again, I suppose, is not a bad thing. I've seen impala alarm call at warthog and at duiker because of the low movement that animal does through the grass. So to be honest, that animal is sort of giving off a posture that is a little bit frightening. And, well, if the impalas didn't alarm call and they just went, whatever, not sure what that is, then more of them would probably die. So they've gotten to that mindset where, see, even now, they're looking back at some more impala coming to join them, and they're just going, what's that? What's that? Okay, that's impalas. So when they do alarm call, it's always very worth having a look. I've noticed that they might look at warthog and duiker. I've seen them maybe alarm call very gently at a warthog or duiker, but when they really, really, really alarm call, when they properly start doing their snorting, then you've got to have a proper look around, because there's generally something there. So we find them to be one of the most reliable. And it's not even just the alarm call that you're looking for. Sometimes their behavior in general indicates that they've seen something a little while ago and there's something going on that is worth investigation. I love them. They are such pretty animals, aren't they? Those nostrils flaring. Anything that moves, and it's windy now, so anything that's moving, they're like, what's that? What's that? I'm actually quite interested to know what is going on, because where these impalas are really staring now, there was some spurfowl sitting in the tree. And you often get spurfowl in a tree, but it's not always what they do. Kim, I think they're the most underrated animal. It's the one animal you're guaranteed to see in the Kruger National Park, guaranteed, and yet many people drive past them and don't really talk about why. Bless you, Sebastian.
Thank you.
And don't really talk about why do you see so many impalas. You know, their evolutionary adaptation is, some people will say they haven't evolved in 6 million years, which is a very long time if you consider the greater scheme of things. They haven't needed to evolve because they've done so well in what they do. Their breeding success is incredible. Although we see everything eating impala, we still seem to see the numbers growing every single year. Now, if they weren't successful, their numbers would be going down. Obviously, in areas like this, there's incredible amount of perfect habitat for impala. Anywhere there's a road, you've got an open area, and then anywhere where the bush densifies on the side of that road is a dense thicket. And because of fire management, there's lots of sort of areas that are broken or opened up due to fire breaks, which create the same habitat. And they also share habitat with many animals, such as wildebeest and zebra. And due to the fact that habitats have changed dramatically over the years in these areas, there has had to be manipulation to support the wildebeest and zebra numbers, which has only just influenced the impala numbers even more. Okay, well, I'm not sure who we're sending you over to, but I have no doubt they've got something interesting.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, everybody. So I'm actually in the stretch of the riverbed where the lioness and her 3 cubs from the Birmingham Pride have been. And there is a large troop of baboons walking up the riverbed here. And I think they're all just busy foraging. They're quite relaxed. There hasn't been any alarm calling or anything like that. And look at that size difference between male and female. So she's actually looking back at him because she's in estrus. She's ready to mate. And he's just sitting, almost ignoring her, it seems. So this would probably be the dominant male of this troop. And it seems like there's another female at the back. They're also in estrus. So it's that time of the year, it seems, where quite a few of them are ready to mate and have babies. You can see there's still quite a lot of water in the Timbavati River. And these baboons, I think, are really enjoying this cool weather and enjoying this stretch where it is a little bit more dry, looking for anything that may have washed down with the river while it was flowing over the section of sand here. That baboon at the water almost seems, look nervous to cross. See how carefully it's placing its feet. So that one is actually the one with the injured front right leg. And it has been injured for quite a while. But somehow still surviving. Very interesting actually to see it crossing the river. Not often we get to see this. You can see how it's not putting any weight at all on that front right leg. Even when it is trying to put weight on, it's putting less weight on or running on only 3. They're all chasing each other. That one's a bit more nervous about crossing, going over a bit slower. It sounds so strange actually, but it's such a nice sound hearing animals cross the river. It's not something I get to hear often. Trying to keep up. So it seems like the whole troop is actually busy crossing at the moment, and that could very well be because they can smell that lioness. They're getting closer to where she was last seen, and so it's possible. There's another injured baboon. Oh my goodness. Also front leg. Possible that they've smelled her and decided to cross onto the opposite bank where it's a bit safer for them. How unusual to see a whole troop crossing. There you can see that one at the back is the one that has an injured front left. That one looks a bit more new though, a bit fresher. but they're very versatile and adaptable, so it doesn't surprise me that it's still surviving so well. And actually, it's to rain. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm definitely feeling the rain at the moment, which is quite interesting. So I actually came down to the Stretcher River specifically to look for that lioness with her 3 cubs, because she's been seen moving around this morning, moving her den site further north. But there's definitely been quite a lot of animals through here this morning, quite a lot of elephant dung in the area as well, and quite a bit of fresh as well. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep looking for this lioness, and speaking of elephants, I'm going to send you over to some elephants on the other side.
We're still here, I promise. Technology's been against us today, but we're still battling through. Look at that tiny one. You stubby. Tiny little elephant. It's very small. That's it. That's how you walk across the road. Uh-huh. Yep. It's about bombed. We found about... Sorry, this is just too adorable. Oh. Oh, there we go. We managed to walk. We managed to put one leg in front of the other there. We found about 4 different herds this morning. We also found some buffaloes. We're going to try and go back to the buffalo. Look at this little one, Dove. He just does not know what it's doing. I don't know who the mother is of this very small one, but... Oh, big stretch. That looked like a wonderful stretch. I might do the same. But sometimes when elephants are that young... there we go, it's coming back, it's coming back. I think it's looking for mom. Trying to... It's a boy. Wow, it's a little boy. Look at that back leg. Oh, that's a nice swing. What is this youngster doing? Yoga, that's it, elephant yoga. Instead of the downward dog, we've got the downward elephant.
Welcome back. We found a beautiful little bird who's being super awesome. He is, well, at the moment he's just sitting, as you can see, but this is a pin-tailed wider. The reason for his name being his long, skinny tail. There's a female somewhere close by, and he keeps displaying to her. I won't describe what he's doing. I'll wait for him to show you himself. But he's a really, really cool little bird, and he's making these little cheep, cheep, cheep noises. He's not stopping. I think he's just letting that female who's feeding quite nearby, you can't see her, she's down in the grass. But yeah, he's just making sure that she is fully aware that he's still around. He hasn't gone anywhere, and he's going to continue to harass her. He's so beautiful. See how he's kind of bunched his feathers up a little bit against the cold. And that beautiful bright orangey red bill against that stark black head. He's just stunning. And very cool as well about these little birds is that he looks absolutely nothing like that in non-breeding season. So at the moment is breeding season, that's why he's making a noise, and that's why he's displaying to this female, which he hasn't done for you yet. I'll point it out when he does start doing it. But yeah, he looks almost exactly the same as the female when he doesn't have his breeding plumage. So I hope that the female does show herself in a moment so that you can see what he usually looks like. And with birds, the female does often look a little bit more drab in comparison to the male. He's the one who has to look all pretty and flashy to attract her. And lots of birds will just have their same plumage the whole year round. But widers specifically, they all change plumage. So he'll actually lose that long tail. He won't even have that long tail. He'll shed that. I think that I'm going to get my bird book out, because if he's just sitting there, then I might be able to quickly show you. Oh, there you go. So that's his display. So he's displaying now. Oh, and there's the female he's just chased. Oh no, I think they're flying off now. Okay, let me find in the book so that I can show you what he normally looks like. There we go. So, that's him over there. You see that's the transition plumage, so he's just starting to get his long tail. And then that's the female in breeding, and then that's the male in non-breeding. So male and female in non-breeding plumage, that's what they look like. So, I mean, you can see from that to that is completely different. Very, very cool, though, that they change so much just to impress the female. And then you can see the other widers also all pretty much the same. So the long-tailed paradise wider and the shaft-tailed and the broad-tailed all lose their plumage in non-breeding season. And Renee, yes, very, very, very cool-looking bird. So elegant with these long tails. The other one that we get in this area is the long-tailed paradise wider. But yeah, very, very beautiful birds, and I'm glad that I got to show you a first, Renee. But he has moved off now. And actually, interestingly, this is exactly the watering hole that I was talking about, that those lions were hanging out around when there wasn't much other water. So we just came to check if there wasn't any other animals around here. As you can see behind me, there's absolutely nothing. So we will send you over to Tswalu while we continue searching for something else interesting and exciting to show you guys.
Well, good luck, Kim. Something very funny looking, and something that is in full display at the moment is this wonderful and very unique fruiting body. Look at that. If I could have pulled the wool over you folks' eyes, I could have said this is an alien's egg deposited last night under the cover of darkness. This is the lovely and very unique fruiting body from a plant, a creeper, called a gemsbok cucumber. And from its sphere and very spiny appearance, you can see that it is unlike anything else out here or anything else we have looked at. So using the fruiting body is very, very distinctive in order to recognize this lovely plant. It is a creeper, so just like we've been looking at creepers dominating the area right now and creating lovely ground cover, but also providing a lot. So if you look at the flowers, providing a lot of essential and important elements for animals, but then also things like this also would provide in the upcoming months very important water for a lot of animals. So looking at its structure, you can see it's a creeper. One way and how we can recognize it, we can see this beautiful fruiting body. This is still fairly young. They are green when they are young, and as they reach a ripened state, they turn almost like a pale off-white, yellowy color. And then we can also recognize the plant by its, if I come very close here with the mic, listen to this. There is a lot and lots of tiny little hairs. I'm going to turn it here for you, Morgan, that basically line the entire leaf. And you can see the leaf has a palm-like structure. 5 petals coming off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So another way in which we can recognize this lovely plant. Leaves are very important to recognize certain family groups. So a lovely plant and something that's very unique out here. If you think about seed dispersal is very, very important. And plants have come up with ingenious ways in order to disperse one's seeds. So if I had to cut this open, there would be, and obviously I'm not going to, so if I cut this open, you would find that it's got fleshy content with inside it, but very, very watery. There's a lot of moisture locked within these fruiting bodies. And then there will be lots of seeds. And what is happening here is that this plant has created this beautiful fruiting body with the hopes that in the drier periods when water becomes a bit scarce, that an animal will consume this. Things like a porcupine or baboon, and humans even. We can eat this through the ripe phase. But if you think about it here, the attractive note is the water. The attractive point of reference is the water within inside this fruiting body. So once an animal opens up, this fruiting body consumes the moisture, the life-giving moisture at a certain period. The seeds are consumed, and then when the animal moves from this place, point A to point B, for example, seeds are then dispersed. And if you think about vectors and animals, plants have very, very specialized tactics in order to disperse seeds. So when it is not ripe, Steve gave us a wrap on how to extract beautiful elements out of plants. So when this plant is not ripe, you can actually test it, and there is ways in which one can test plants to see if they are poisonous. First and foremost, you've got to be very, very careful, folks. Don't just go and eat any plants. Same as mushrooms, edible flowers. Be very careful and obviously do a lot of research before doing so. But if this plant is unripe, one would obviously taste it. It would have a burning sensation to it on the lips. One way in which I like to test if a plant is poisonous is cutting it open and then applying a bit of the moisture or the juice on the inside of my arm, where you have soft skin that is not exposed to sun a lot. So basically the inner part of your armpit, and waiting 15-20 minutes to see if there's any burning sensation. But when it is ripe, when it's got this beautiful creamy yellowy color to it, we can chop this open and we can actually consume the life-giving moisture out of there. It's beautiful, and hence the name cucumber does physically have the smell of cucumber. So when it is ripe, we can eat it just like this raw, or we can chop it open and put it onto fire, actually give it a bit of a roasted effect. You can put them on ashes even, and then consume the flesh. It's got like a sour, sweet almost taste to it. But then if you think over here now, this root structure would go down fairly deep into the soil, about 1.5 meters into the soil. Really amazing, and a life-saving, let's say, at that plant through the dry times of the year. So looking at this plant, this is very unique, and what we're going to be looking for in the next few days is something called the Tsama melon. So this is very unique and very important for moisture. But a Tsama melon is a fruiting body about yay size. This would get a bit bigger when it's ripe. It would almost double in size and is obviously very distinctive. And you'll find that Tsama melon is a rounded ball. It almost looks like an overgrown gem squash with these beautiful light lines running across the fruiting body. And Tsama melons are amazing bodies or fruiting bodies. We could harness them and actually store them. Up to a year, 1 year, we could store that plant for its life-giving moisture. But that'll be another story for another drive. I just wanted to show you guys this absolutely wonderful and very unique structure. I mean, look at that. Look at it against my hand. That is very unique. And very, very incredible to see. But I want Morgan just to give you guys a view of the overlay of the landscape over here. And then we'll see you shortly.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Jomla. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
We managed to find the buffalo. It's not that difficult, but we found them. We just suffered from a little shower, but the rain seems to have subsided. The buffalo started to move inwards. They're on Jomla, and we're on the southern boundary. Oh, that one's horn was very close to a sensitive area. They're not very delicate animals. You can see that one that's missing his tail, Davy. Stumpy.
All right. Sorry about that. I apologize, but it is a very beautiful scene here. Look how incredible that is. From the beautiful Gemsbok cucumber to a little bit of light drizzle. These clouds are very, very low, and it looks like it's bringing in a slight light drizzle in here from the east. But it is definitely one of those days where I need to park cheesy, maybe a blanket, popcorn. I hope you guys are wrapped up. Well, if it's cold where you are. If it's not, I hope you are keeping cool. This weather is fantastic to be in, and it's a shrike. It's fantastic weather to be out. It really keeps things going, so to say. Because once that heat sets in here, everything just finds shape. Gone for the day. But now, so we did find those tracks where we came to this junction, and looking at the track set, that we were right behind that cat, because we got to the junction and I tracked it just into the block, and you could see the feet moving quite far apart from each other, showing that that animal was already running. And there are some cheetah here on Tswalu, a lot of cheetah here on Tswalu, that you have 2 chances of getting close to them, and they are both 0. They are wild out here. So not to put any pressure on the animal, it was going through the block and we would be wasting a lot of time, unfortunately, to track it and lead up onto the animal. We would only find that animal maybe in the next hour or 2, when we eventually get to a spot where it feels comfortable, it starts to slow down, and then we could hopefully and potentially get a view. But there's lots of other things that we could get tapped into out here, and we thought, let's just keep the ball rolling. Safari live in the mist. Lovely. Nice and cool on the face, and the smell of that light rain coming down. A very, very strong sour odor from the sour grass around me is just filling my nostrils. And those little trickles on my face, I can just feel. It is super right now, and a very unique view of Tswalu. Let's just we're going to get to a gap over here. What is in the road there? Somebody in the road? Is that somebody? Yes, it's a somebody. It's a jackal. Morgan going to give us a zoom in there. Yeah, sorry about the misty conditions there, guys. But there's a jackal basically looking at us. It's quite a young chap, quite a young individual. You can still see the face looks young. With animals, you can see just by the general appearance of the animal. Old animals would look a little more defined. Their hair would be darker. Where this chap, you can see this individual, the face looks young. So showing me that it is a fairly young individual. You can see the ears projected towards us, trying to understand what is our next move. I'm going to do a little grooming. I've got a lot of respect for these animals. I think in my guiding career I've realized more and more and more that they are super animals. And I've had some very special sightings with jackal, from jackal pups to jackal trying to catch young springbok, jackal catching birds, and then a lot of jackal on a carcass. I've been in a sighting where the wild dogs took down a kudu female, a cow, and after that there was about 20 or 25 jackal on this carcass, and the behavior, what I got to experience, was incredible. So all these individuals trying to show dominance. So what they do is they do a display referred to as pilo erection. So basically the back mantle or the crest mantle of the animal, the hair actually physically standing upright. And also the vocalization, showing of teeth, snarling and growling. It was really incredible. But while we keep tabs on this lovely little animal, let's send you over to Pridelands to say hello.
We are sitting with the tiniest little baby elephant hidden just on the right-hand side in the grass, underneath its mother, in the herd that belongs to Susan. Well, it doesn't belong to Susan. Susan belongs to that herd. A wonderful day, nice and cool. The wind has finally died down, about 20 degrees, and lots of elephants have come out of all the places they were hiding after the wind, all making their way down towards Ndlovu Dam. But we're just going to wait here and see if this young elephant comes out from behind its mother. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is Gert, and you've joined us at Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy. We are enjoying the weather today. I'm really hoping that this tiny little baby comes out from behind its mother, because it's so small. I really think it's a newborn. It can't be much more than a couple of weeks old at the most. Oh, there's our comms with the FC. So Susan is the elephant on the left. Those of you who've been watching for a while will know Susan. She's feisty. She's a real feisty female. She's quite young. She's got tusks which are very, very narrow, and they touch her trunk as she moves her trunk up and down. That's her on the left. And we've been seeing her babysitting some younger elephants for a while now. She seems to have calmed down with a bit of responsibility. A few months ago, if we ever bumped into Susan, she would come right up to the vehicle and start shaking her head and scratching the ground and doing all sorts of strange stuff that would normally indicate that she was a little bit agitated, although normally we're far away from them and she would come to us of her own accord. She seems to be getting a bit wiser and a bit more calm now that she's been given babysitting duties. Perhaps she got a bit of a speaking to from her own mother. And this is a small group now. There's probably a mother and all the offspring related to her, potentially. I think they're separated from the main herd, which we passed earlier, heading towards Ndlovudan, because she's got such a tiny little baby. We'll just wait here and see if that little baby comes out. They've been feeding on what looks like an umbrella thorn. You can see that a tree that's been splintered and shattered there. The lovely thorn tree that was growing next to the road has been completely decimated. Just strange, because at this time of year you'd think they'd mostly be feeding on grass. They seem to also enjoy changing up their diet once in a while. It's always important. And we're actually still in the area where some lions and cubs were spotted last night by the landowner. Apparently 6 youngsters and 2 lionesses. We've seen their tracks this morning, but with this grass as thick and as long as it is, we haven't been able to find them. And to be honest, with all these elephants moving up and down around this area, I'm sure those lionesses will have moved their youngsters away from here. Not particularly safe for lion cubs when there's so many elephants around, especially when the elephants have youngsters themselves. They'll be very, very keen to defend themselves and chase off any potential predators. These elephants have been in a mud wallow earlier as well. You can see they're covered in splashes of mud. All the rain we've been having, there's mud wallows everywhere. So they literally just walk. There it is. There it is. They're just seeing the back of it. You see how tiny that is? Oh, there it's hiding again. It's literally so small. It doesn't even go up to the mother's knees. It's so cute. And this elephant that's in the middle there is also quite a young one. Probably around 3 or half past 3. 3.5. So it's also quite a small elephant, and that other one dwarfs in comparison. I really hope it makes another appearance. It really is a cute little elephant. Now Susan, that elephant there, is peeling bark off of this little stick that she's carrying. She's using her trunk and tusks very deftly. We can't see it now. She's literally peeling off bits of the outer bark to feed on. Oh, there's the baby again. There's the baby. Just coming out. It doesn't really know how to use its trunk properly. Smelling everything. Wondering what this whole new world is all about. Oh, don't fall over. Oh, that's not even weeks old. That's days old. If not younger. See, look how it can't even use its trunk properly yet. No wonder this group is so far behind the rest of the herd. There's no way this tiny baby could keep up. So 50 baby elephants are literally the most entertaining animals you could ever watch. Elephants in general are just fun to watch. The baby ones are especially cute. Always flopping around and falling over and playing. The only thing which might match it is young baboons and monkeys. They're also incredibly fun to watch. But look at this baby elephant. It's just literally sniffing everyone. I want to know who all these people are, all these other elephants are. Very, very great to see the next generation of elephants on Pride Lands. And there's so many elephants on Pride Lands. Just adding to the total number. Okay, so it looks like some of these elephants might start to make their way down the road towards us. Interesting to see how young Susan reacts to us, especially with this tiny little elephant here. Now we're going to sit very quietly and not move at all. We don't want to disturb them by starting the engine, especially with a tiny baby. Oh, never mind, false alarm. That one was just coming for a better piece of grass or a stick. I'm just saying, Susan has a very angled forehead, very flat on top. Very easy to tell that she's a female. Hopefully we'll get to see it again. She turns around. Lovely to see these families and how close-knit they are. Almost always touching each other as well. Look at that tiny little thing. What you doing? Is that your mother? I assume it is. Well, otherwise it's very strange that it's suckling there. So tiny. Look at the gap between the belly and the back of that elephant. I don't think it is the mother, to be honest. I was a bit confused. That's the cutest thing ever. I can just hear this very low, rumbling sound. Amanda, animals tend to be much more wary when they've got very, very young babies. Not necessarily aggressive, but certainly they're more likely to take action if they feel threatened in some way. So I don't think that an elephant runs around attacking everything just because it's got a baby, but it definitely will be quick to, chase off a lion that came too close. Oh, look at that tree's about to come down. This elephant is going to push down this tree. Look how it uses its tusk. Wow. Amazing. Well, I guess that's as easy as that. Very impressive. She hardly looked like she used any energy at all. Even surround that baby. And this is typical. So Amanda, you're saying, are they more aggressive? Not more aggressive, but definitely more protective. So you see how they all stand close together like this on either side of this little baby, flanking it, not allowing it to move too far away in case it stumbles too close. As I said, there's lions around somewhere here. So they probably have smelt them at some point, and so they know. Be very careful. Look at that little baby trying to suckle. There's no milk in that elephant that it's trying to suckle from, as far as I can tell. It's trying its luck. I think it's so young, it doesn't really know yet, probably. So small, I reckon I could pick that up under my arm and just carry it off. Cutest little thing ever. Look how fuzzy it is as well. Elephants are like all mammals, covered in fur, which is clean. Patricia, it all depends on the individual, to be honest, but it can be a couple of years that an elephant could suckle. I've seen elephants far older than a few years also suckling. Let's say probably around about 2 to 3. I stand to be corrected, but once their tusks are emerging and they've got a full set of teeth and all the rest, there's no reason for them to keep suckling. And eat. I mean, you see elephants also very young, starting to be weaned, starting to nibble on grasses. I mean, they're constantly learning what the mothers feed on, and they'll go and eat directly from the clump of grass that the mother fed on and put it in their mouth and chew it a bit. But I mean, every animal is so different. I mean, I've seen lions that were years old already, and now they're supposed to stop suckling at a few months, start eating like little bits of meat. I've seen a lion that's probably about 3 years old trying to suckle from another lioness who's got cubs. And she allowed it, even though this lion has full teeth and eats meat and hunts and does all the rest. She was allowing it to suckle, so it's very odd. It was an unusual behavior, but anything's possible. I'm so interested that they're spending so long feeding on this one particular patch, on this one tree. There's so much green stuff here, so they should have moved on by now, but hey, why rush?
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Jomla Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the number one aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. It's no secret that nature can heal. Some of our Wild Earth viewers are finding solace in the outdoors close to their homes during lockdown.
This is how I keep myself busy during lockdown. Beautiful little jumping spot.
I love walking in the open spaces near my home. Provides a moment of peace in a crazy world.
This is my fire escape with some of the birds I get to see. That's what it's like in New York City during lockdown.
Being in nature helps me to cope with the challenges of life and helps me to be humble and grateful.
It's magical watching everything turn into a winter wonderland as the snow softly falls.
Been doing lots of walking, dog walking, outside at parks.
This is my Ridgeback Drake. Our little slice of paradise is a provincial park called Hopewell Ross.
Connecting with nature is critical to stay positive during these tough times. Wild Earth encourages you all to find time to escape to nature.
There is clearly something in the vicinity around you that's drawn their attention. Yes, that meerkat in the tree is just the coolest of cool meerkats. But watch how he battles when he comes down. That would be like me climbing a tree, just better.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
The gremlins are trying very, very hard with us this afternoon, and you will have to excuse me. The rain is just starting to come down quite heavy, so I am covering some of the gear in the front of the car as we speak. There we go. I may have to put on more covers shortly, but we're still with the buffalo. They really haven't gone very far. What is dripping from your mouth, dear? Yes, you look away. Now, just the other day I read buffalo being described as the mafia of the animal kingdom. I thought, wow, I've never heard that description before. And they linked it to the buffalo's steely gaze and unnerving demeanour. And that's how they're linked to being the mafia. I'm not too sure I enjoy that one. But they definitely are. Your heart does skip a small beat when you come across a large herd of buffalo. They're powerful, powerful animals. So large in size. And of course, unless you find some lone dagger boys, there's always so many of them. And they do just stare at you. The part about the gaze is correct. But it's their hearing. Look at those large ears. Yes, they hang low, but they're very large. And their sense of smell that they really rely on. So although they see you approaching when you're driving up the road, they all sort of erect their ears, the cartilage, and open up their nostrils, and you can see that they're trying to smell you and hear you rather than rely on what they're seeing, if that makes sense. I think it's really interesting when you're first learning about an animal to understand what senses are they relying on, how are they understanding their environment. Are they tactile, are they chemical, are they auditory? And with buffalo, they do have good eyesight, but that's not their primary sense. It's not even their secondary sense, to be honest. They're relying on their ears and their very, very strong sense of smell. Especially during summer. There's no way they would see a lion coming when it's this thick. Then they would smell. They would smell first. They would hear movement first, although lions are very silent, before they would see. It's too thick for them to see, and that's exactly why they've evolved to rely on their sense of smell. It's been a while since I've seen buffalo, but they seem to be all around. You can see buffalo tracks, dung piles everywhere on the reserve at the moment. They don't look too overjoyed about being wet, though, I must say. I feel you. We're getting wet too. I was saying they look very serene. They do look very relaxed. We actually spotted them earlier, but we left them and they're in the exact same spot. They haven't moved very far. There's lots of youngsters. There's a very young one somewhere at the back. It's very fawn in colour and really, really small. Mothers will generally give birth within the herd. She may get left slightly behind because she's attending to the calf that she just gave birth to, but it takes the calf about 10 minutes to be standing on its own 4 feet, if you like. They're remarkably precocial, as with most sort of prey species, if you like. So the mother will do her best to keep up with the herd because the herd offer protection. They're not going to harm her young, and it benefits all the mothers to stay in the herd. So if she does lag behind, it will be very temporary. Okay, I think Davy and I are going to put our rain covers on for now, and we're going to send you across to Mike in Pridelands.
As you can see, they've come a lot closer to us. This youngster is just investigating us, and the other baby elephant just behind it with the mother. So we're not going to move, and we're going to be quite quiet for a moment. Yes, I know. Look what it's doing. This is the weirdest thing. This is what Susan used to do. Now, this is not Susan. Don't be silly now, elephant. Elephants often do that in order to try and intimidate something. We're not going to be intimidated. We're just sitting here quietly. Don't be silly. Hey, elephant. You can see the mother's taken the other youngster, the very tiny one, a bit away. We've been sitting here quietly. They walked over because these youngsters came to investigate us. The mother came with them just to make sure they were going to be safe. And when she realized that there was no danger here because we're sitting so quietly, she took the baby away. She's busy doing a bit of a dust bathe now. She's throwing dust and dirt on herself. And really interesting. So the baby's so small, it doesn't yet know exactly who's who. So it's been suckling from all these elephants. Literally goes up to any of the elephants and tries to suckle from them. And I think Susan got a bit annoyed. The elephant at the far back there. She got a bit annoyed with this baby trying to suckle from her constantly. So she's a bit grumpy at the moment. Amazing. Gert was saying, because this tiny little baby elephant is so fuzzy, it's even difficult to try and focus the camera on it because the camera can't understand this fuzziness around this elephant. It can't find any sort of sharp edges. So interesting. Covered in this dense black fuzz. Now, interestingly, they've all gone back to the tree where they were. They just came to say hi or to investigate us. And they've all gone back to that same patch of grass and tree that they were eating before. I was doing a bit of research now whilst we were off air, using the Stewart's Mammal Guide, and it was telling me that elephant calves can sometimes suckle anywhere between 5 and 10 years, which seems extremely long to me, because by then they've got new youngsters. But anyway, Douglas, definitely elephants fight all the time. I mean, they're intelligent animals that live in a social situation, and so there's times when, of course, they get on each other's nerves, if I can put it that way, and they have little arguments and little rumbles, and sometimes, one of the elephants steps on the toe of another one and they push and they shove. Sometimes they step too close to another one's calf and they get angry. In fact, we saw a little bit earlier a female being chased at a high speed by a male who was, let's put it, very in a state of arousal. He wasn't in must, but he was clearly very interested in this female, and so he was chasing her, and she was really running away and trumpeting as she went. It was very, very interesting to see. So, of course, elephants always, not always, but can often get into little conflicts with each other. Like any family, but they're very close-knit, so they're usually able to sort out the problems pretty quickly. If you can hear the hornbills around us in full display, having lots and lots of little wing-up displays and making lots of noise. Very peaceful morning after 2 days of very, very strong driving wind and rain. It's nice to have a very calm morning. Nothing quite as peaceful as watching elephants feeding. Craig, I don't think that bulls ever stop mating. I mean, I guess it all depends on their condition. I mean, if an elephant is in fine condition and he's 60 years old, it could try and mate, I suppose. If it was in poor condition, it might struggle to mate because it's a very energetic process. I mean, I think they will try and mate as long as they can. I mean, as long as they're the strongest elephant around and they're physically able to mount the female, yes, it could mate at any age. But I've never really looked that up. I've never really tried to find that answer, so it'd be a good one for me to find out. What age do elephants stop mating, or males? Well, we found out recently that elephants, I mean, I guess it also depends on where you are, but elephants can be a lot younger than you think. I mean, that massive elephant bull, Ezulwini, which we saw a few weeks ago with those massive tusks, we were all thinking that elephant must be in its late 40s, but it's not even 40 years old yet. It's like 35. And then Kumo, the other large elephant, who actually we haven't seen recently, well, not for a long time actually. We always used to think he was also probably in his early 40s, but that elephant's not even 30 yet. So it's incredible how big they can be, and they'll be fairly young. So there's only Susan left now. The rest of the elephants are all moving down into the drainage line. Just Susan left feeding. But she was actually the only elephant that didn't approach us, which is quite interesting. Normally she's the ringleader of any nonsense. Perhaps she doesn't want to do it while her mother was watching, or whatever elephant that was. I find that she comes to say hi just now. Right now content to feed on that Senegalia. Very tough skin on their trunks, very sensitive, but tough. Able to pull off those leaves and branches with their very strong hooked thorns. Sam, that's another interesting question, and I love all these questions. Elephants can give birth basically anywhere. I've seen elephants giving birth. I've never seen an elephant give birth, but I've seen pictures and videos of elephants giving birth on open plains, in thickets, in water even. Not deep water, because the poor baby elephant wouldn't make it then. But in shallow water, the edges of rivers, I suppose it could be anywhere, wherever the female is most comfortable. And it's a big event. When an elephant gives birth, or when there's mating, anything like that, it's a big event. All the other elephants start trumpeting and rumbling and moving around, and there's lots of excitement. We'd love to be able to see it one day. And I mean, this youngster that we saw a moment ago couldn't be more than a couple of days old. The umbilical cord is still very swollen in its belly, so it's not long born, a day or two. One day I'll get to see it. But yes, anywhere. I can give birth wherever it's comfortable. Preferably somewhere soft, I suppose. Quite a hard landing if it gave birth on a road like this. It would be so pleasant for its baby. Absolutely love to see Susan. Susan, I hope you come and visit us at the camp, though. You need to meet the new students. Our new students arrived yesterday afternoon at camp. Of course, the first thing they saw when they arrived was the very full waterhole and elephants swimming in it. So now there's 2 herds that have gone to the waterhole, and hopefully Susan and this small group is also going to make their way there. Always good for the students to meet the locals. Kim, you know what? Susan is not like other elephants that I've ever seen before. She's acting like a normal elephant now. A normal elephant, I should say. Not really. Who's normal, right? But she's been very, in the past, coming up to us and spending time with us and displaying and doing all sorts of strange stuff. At times we've had to be strict with her. But, now she seems to have been calming down and acting more like any normal wild elephant. And she's alone at the moment, and we have seen her alone in the past, but it's not normal, and I don't know that she likes it, or maybe, I don't know what's wrong. I mean, I wonder if elephants can have, what's the word I'm looking for? Like different psychological states of mind. I mean, certainly they can, they're very intelligent, so perhaps she's just going through a phase now where she likes to be alone more. I mean, we saw her like a month ago, and she was far away from all the other elephants, moving like north into another reserve, and we were very surprised to see her all on her own. But normally she's with a herd of elephants. It's normally how we see her. Sort of look for Susan's herd. I definitely think she's built differently. There's some differences in her psychological state of mind. Causes her to act very strangely. Like this elephant that was with us a moment ago that came very close and dug its tusks into the ground. That's the kind of thing Susan used to do. Susan used to dig her tusks in the ground and scrape on the floor and do handstands and all sorts of weird and wonderful yoga moves. But a few meters from the car, strangely. And we always thought, one day she's going to do something that we're going to regret. But so far she's been fairly well behaved. Makes you have to, reiterate to the students, never approach elephants very close. Let them come to you, because then they're more comfortable. You drive into a herd of elephants, you could have a Susan character who would come up very close and cause a little bit of discomfort for you or your guests, and that's never going to be a fun thing. No one should be uncomfortable when they're looking at animals like elephants. I love these questions, everyone. Keep them coming. Remember, if there are any youngsters watching, if you're under the age of 18, pop your questions to kidquestions@wildearth.tv. Anyone else can register on the Wild Earth website and head over to the live Safari page and submit your questions there. We love them. It's always fun. It makes for an interesting game drive when we get tested on our knowledge. Craig, that's another good question. And elephants can pick up a ton of information from their sense of smell. So I think an elephant bull could probably realize what females it's mated with by scent. and then by association maybe know which youngsters are theirs. But I think female elephants will mate with a number of males over a period of time, and so it's never going to be exactly known which is their youngster. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it is exactly known. I don't think so. I don't think they know exactly which is their offspring. I don't think they particularly care, to be honest, because bull elephants tend to be quite removed from the herds. You only see them following the herds when they want mating opportunities. That's why we think Susan was maybe alone for some time. I think she was separated from the herd by a male or some males in order to mate with her, and then she's now come back to the herd. So I don't know if a male elephant would recognize its offspring. But elephants also don't practice infanticide, the killing of young that doesn't belong to them. As far as I'm aware, I've never known it. I mean, they might kill another elephant in a fight or by accident or in a stressful situation, but they don't go out of their way to hunt down and kill offspring that's not theirs, because they're not territorial. They don't defend an area and its resources from others. Not like lions, which will actively do that. If a lion thinks that this offspring is not theirs or knows that the offspring is not theirs, will definitely kill it if it can catch it. Elephants not so much, Craig. Good question though. Redford House, that's quite something that needs to come with watching an elephant group. I mean, to know which is the matriarch. So first of all, it's always going to be a female, because elephants are matriarchal, so the females are always in charge. And then it's normally the oldest female. So you'd look for the biggest one, or the one that looks the oldest, discount all the younger ones. And that might leave you with 2 or 3 elephants in a biggish herd, which could be the matriarch. And then it's about watching what they do. Generally, the matriarch will lead them. And so we'll be the first one to start moving towards a waterhole or to stop somewhere and start feeding. And quite often, if you listen carefully, you'll hear rumblings, quite a lot of rumblings coming from the matriarch as she gives information to the rest of the group to tell them what to do, when to move, when to stop, when to feed. And so it takes a bit of time. And I must say, I mean, I'm not very good at it. But with careful observation over a number of days or weeks, you could pretty much with certainty say which one was the matriarch of a group. The oldest female, the strongest and biggest generally, will be the leader. They, have incredible memories, so it's important that the oldest female is the leader, because she'll know where historically there might have been water or good feeding or a dam, in a drought time, or a river. Because remember, this is an open system. Pride Lands is attached to the Kruger Park, open, no fences. And so when there's droughts, elephants know that there's water at Pride Lands, or at least they will now know that there's water at Pride Lands. And so in a drought in 30 years' time, elephants will have passed that information on, and so you'll find elephants coming to Pride Lands, right to our camp, right outside the eco-training camp, to get to the water there, because there's no other water in this whole area. And likewise, if water ran out at our dam for whatever reason, you might find elephants moving hundreds of kilometers if necessary on a historical migration route to get to water somewhere else. And they do it often in the places like Botswana, which go through immense dry seasons. I mean, it's a desert. Botswana is mostly the Kalahari Desert, so animals move huge distances. We're going to watch Susan a little bit longer and then probably make our way down to Ndlovu Dam to see if the rest of that herd has arrived and is swimming. In the meantime, send you over to another live safari.
Thanks, Mike. Well, the rain is just that uncomfortable rain that just sort of comes in at the side. It's okay if we find something, but we've got our flaps down, we've battened down the hatches. It's one of those sort of irritating moisture rains that just gets in everywhere and wets the equipment and the radios, and we've just got to keep everything covered. everything is hiding. We had some very fresh leopard scat though, but the ground is so hard we couldn't figure out exactly which direction she'd gotten to. I was trying to guess by the way that the poo had fallen. I was doing a little bit of the pinch is that way, and so she must have gone that way, but I've also seen leopards pinch and the flops over, so couldn't find a track. Those impala that you last saw us with, that's where we found the scat, so they were sort of still jumpy as we indicated last time you saw them, but we weren't able to find anybody. But that's all right. Carry on. Excuse me if I'm pulling a little face. The side cutting rain just gets you right in the eyes. I need to get my clear eye protective glasses again with little windscreen wipers. Jerome, what a question. What a question. Okay. This is going to require some... Ooh, we've got some birds in the road. Look at that. Look like some... Are they corehorns or are they bustards? They look like corehorns to me. Red-crested corehorn. There we go. That's wonderful. If they turn, we'll see their belly. They look like two corehorns. They might even be a mating duo. Do I not have my book? Yes, I do. I do have my book. Ooh. Such wonderful birds, aren't they? Okay, so Jerome wanted to know about, do all animals have pinch points on their scat? Well, first of all, Jerome, only predators regarding cats and the like have scat. So here's a nice little picture of a lion on the left that doesn't really have a pinch, but the size of it should be very easy to identify. Lots and lots of fur, bone. We found some yesterday that actually had some impala hooves in it. And we go down here to the leopard. The leopard's got that very characteristic pinch at the end, but you don't always see it. See over here, two different types, but there's definitely a pinch there. There you can see is full of porcupine quills. Cheetah on the other side doesn't have, and I don't know why, whereas caracal does, a little pinch over there. African wildcat at the bottom, you won't notice the pinch, but you will notice it's been dug in the ground like that of a steenbok. Okay, let's turn over the page, and then jackals and the like generally deposit their dung on top of other dung. So this is often on top of elephant dung or on top of another midden. And then mongooses are all much, much smaller. But I'm going to go a few pages back to the hyena. Where's the hyena? Sorry about my page turning. There we go. So here's the hyena. They come out in these big nuggets. Almost looks like that. The whiteness is obviously something after a period of time, but these nuggets sort of fit into each other. You can see on the right, they fit in perfectly, and often very, very white after a few days. But when they're fresh, though, they're actually quite green, but they definitely lack the pinch. Okay, so that's what Jerome was wondering about, the pinch. So then on the left, we've got civet, and these can be extremely large, and you can quite often think to yourself, my goodness, who indeed made that? But civets are in civetries, so they use massive toilets for depositing their dung. They don't waste it on just a walk down the road. They will often put it in some form of a midden. And so the brown hyena, which we don't get here, would often obviously very similar to that of the spotted hyena. I've never seen or identified perfectly brown hyena scat. So I hope that helps, Jerome, with a whole lot of poo this morning just for you. Always a nice topic, isn't it? Measure it. Get a stick when it's predators. Don't use your fingers. break it open to see what's inside, because different consistencies will indicate what's in there. If there's fruit and grass, it could be jackal. If it's on top of something, it's very likely a jackal. If it's in a midden, make a note of that. Leopards are much smaller, lions are much bigger. But don't forget, you do get small lions as well. And hyenas will often do them in middens on the side of the road. You won't generally find them just on their road.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The cock's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
This is the first leucistic zebra I have ever seen in my life.
Oh, here comes a lion. Run, little guy. Go on.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it?
Has it just pretended to be dead? That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Jomla River?
It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Look at that little zebra about to be born. There's the head. Oh, you clever mare. Well done.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this. We have just been having the most incredible elephant sighting. 4 youngsters on top of one another, what I would only describe as a pile-up. Have you ever been in a pile-up? I have. It's not so fun, especially if you're the small one, but that's the only way I would describe it there. Oh, it was hilarious, but they've all ventured off. I'm not here. We've still got a view of some of them. Wow. This is an unusual elephant dung. Do you see that, Davi? Not only is it filled with marulas, it's the colour. I think this individual has actually had too many marulas, hence the colour of the dung. Not so pleasant. Someone has an upset tummy. I'm not sure we're going to get the best views of these elephants, I'm afraid. The female, I'm not going to say matriarch, she was a large female, she's definitely a mother, but as Mike mentioned, you can't just determine the matriarch straight away. Was just grazing. And the 4 youngsters were just having the time of their lives. Okay, it's not the best views, but we have some elephants. I wonder if the marulas affect the coloration of the dung. That's a very yellow dung pile. Or whether it's just an upset tummy in general, I wonder.
Lisa, you're asking, do elephants keep growing? I'm guessing you mean in the older stages, because of course they're growing when they're younger. They do reach a maximum size once they reach adulthood. So once a cow or a bull is a full size, it will be a maximum size where they don't grow any further, which is very similar to humans. In fact, we start to shrink, don't we? Once we reach old age, we get smaller. But they will have a maximum size. They don't keep growing for eternity once they reach full adulthood. This might be the last few views. They're going to disappear off into the thicket. There's just elephants everywhere today. And that's why you've got to be really careful when you're driving as well. You don't want to take a blind corner too fast and not see that there's a herd of buffalo or elephants around the corner. The vegetation is just so thick, you really don't know what's around the corner. I mean, of course, unless you can see the tracks and the dung, then you can figure it out. But if you're coming from the opposite direction, then you may not know what's there. Let us go forward and see if we can keep up with this herd. Mumsy, you're asking displacement behavior. Oh, someone's smelly. Abby, can you get this little one from here? This youngster. Yes, many organisms. I would say, I think I can only possibly touch on mammals here. But most mammals will. If there's any sort of or upset from another animal, of course that will affect the reaction. Talk about elephants, they may be or upset that there's a predator nearby. They can maybe smell the predator, they can maybe hear the predator, but they can't see it, so they start to get a little bit and then they can take their Sorry about that. I don't quite know what happened there. We've left the elephants. They've gone and... Well, actually, there's more here. I'm not sure if I can get a view for you. Can you work with this, Davi? I don't quite know where I got to in that question, but yes, most mammals will display displacement aggression. I've actually seen it in fish as well, believe it or not. But it's slightly more trickier when you refer to other groups, such as birds, fish, amphibians, reptiles. It's far more easier to relate to mammals. But elephants are probably the most famous for that sort of behavior, and it's because they are highly reactive and very emotional beings. They are sensitive. They do react to things, sometimes things that are not worth reacting to. But yes, other organisms, absolutely. I think we are going to bumble on. This herd has started to completely separate and head off into the thicket. I'm going to be very, very cautious in my driving due to the fact, if I can drive, that is. Just in case there's other members or other herds around. Natalie, we don't track our elephants. We don't really know what elephants we're looking at. In order to do that, you have to set up quite a robust scientific with lots of integrity. Now, of course, we do recognise Daryl, we do recognise short trunk. I think the female had a short trunk. Do know Fang, but this is because they've got really easy sort of features to identify them with. So then you can recognise the hair. But otherwise, actually quite dangerous, and it goes against the rules of science, if you like, to just assume that you're seeing the same herds, unless you can identify them. If there's cannot assume. Assumption is definitely not what you want to do out here. But elephants move. They're highly mobile. They're not territorial. So they will come and go. They move with the water. You can actually control the movement of elephant populations by closing water points. That's one of the conservation efforts out here. If there's maybe been too much damage to an area, there's just too many elephants in that area, you can close off a water point in winter, that is, and the elephants will gravitate towards other areas with water points. So we don't know. There'll definitely be new elephants coming into the area. There's probably the same elephants coming round and round. That's the matriarch's role. Her role is to lead her herd from successful areas to successful areas in terms of food and water and resources for her herd. So they'll use the same paths. So absolutely, there will be new herds coming in, but you have to think of the Sabi Sands, the size of the Sabi Sands and where the fences are. Unfortunately, we do not get elephants waiting at the gate to come in. I don't think they would get in. Their thumbprint won't work, that's why. My thumbprint also doesn't work sometimes, but yes, we will get new elephants in the area. There's just elephant dung everywhere. I hope the rain stays off for this afternoon, I must say. It's definitely better than yesterday, though. The little patches of blue sky. Did you get that name, Darby? Tato. Tato, you are 7 years old. It is wonderful to hear from you. I'm very glad you are watching our show. And you're asking, do they have a favourite food? Well, I guess they do. In a very general way, especially in summer, elephants prefer to eat grass, especially long, delicious grass. And if you see, the grass is just everywhere. And they will have their favorite types of grass. Not all grass types out here are nutritious, and not all grass types are palatable. Some of them are and the animals will not enjoy them. So they will have their favorite type of grass. They also do browse. They also pull leaves of trees. They also go for the inner layer in bark. And they just love marulas. But who doesn't? Who doesn't love marulas? I wish I could collect them all and send them to you through some portal and it would land in your lap. But marulas are incredibly delicious and they just love them. So yes, their favourite food, the easiest food for them to eat is grass. They just rip it, pull it up with their trunk, and it's very easy for them to chew. It doesn't have high impact on their molars. But during winter, this will change. It changes seasonally. Depends what kind of year you're having. Depends on the environment that the elephants are in. For example, Sabi Sands, where we are, compared to the Masai Mara, is very, very different. So the elephants in both areas will have different diets. They'll have different sort of favorites, if that makes sense. And I do believe we have came to that time of day where it's time to wrap the drive. So I do apologise about all the gremlins, the nasty, nasty gremlins, but I am more than sure that Marcel and all the tech team will be fighting them off. So of course we will be out this afternoon coming to you from a wide range of locations, so please do join us. Thank you for jumping on board. It's been an absolute pleasure and we will see you this afternoon. Bye for now.